Hello and welcome back to the A3 podcast. This is Brownlow edition. My name is Alex Catalano, and joining us once again after a few weeks of absence, we have Alex Doherty. Welcome back, mate.
Yes. How good is it to be back here in the booth here?
Oh, it's lovely. Mr. Alex Miller, of course, as well.
We're happy to have you back, Doc. Me and Catalano have been struggling without you.
Yeah, no, I've missed you boys too.
Can't be
It's not the same.
No.
As I said, this week's a very important week in football. We've got the prelim finals coming up and the Brownlow, but we'll quickly tackle the finals from last week first. The Friday night game, Melbourne and Hawthorn. What a cracker that was. The D's are through to a prelim it's been a very long time for them. They're playing West Coast at Optus Stadium, which is going to be a tough game. How do we feel about last week's game, boys?
It was a good game, and for a team that not many expected to, beat Melbourne, Hawthorn actually conducted themselves pretty well, and even, it was over 5 goals at the end of the game.
Yeah.
They were still in it like halfway through the last quarter. So like that result doesn't reflect how Hawthorn conducted themselves.
Yeah, I thought Hawthorn probably were the better team for large parts of the game. Even though Melbourne probably dominated the scoreboard a little bit more. They kicked. Was it 3-7 at halftime or 4-7?
3-7 at halftime,
So,
and they kicked 6 behinds in that second quarter.
It just shows you that they had their chances, but just missed a couple of kicks. And then, like you said, Doc, they had a bit of a run on. Jack Gunston smacking the post, and then literally 30 seconds later go down the other end and Melbourne kick a goal. So, footy's an incredible thing because you can go from a jubilation to heartbreak in a matter of seconds. And I thought Hawthorn were good, but in the end, Melbourne just too strong in the end.
Yeah, unfortunately, like you said, Gunston was his accuracy. I'm not going to blame it all on one player, but kicking 3 goals 5 when your team needs you, especially to when they were scoring as poorly as they were.
And they weren't really hard shots either, were they?
No. So Gunston was probably one player who really should have lifted his game. With that finals experience, you'd think he'd stand up.
Yeah, I thought he was a bit disappointing.
Unfortunately not.
It was much better than the week before, but I know we were laughing about Jack Gunston on the Friday night, but it's harsh to criticise him just for that easy miss because there were the whole dynamic of that game would have changed if they'd converted even like 2 or 3 of their shots that they missed in that second quarter.
I don't think you can correct me if you're wrong. I don't think you're thinking he was bad. I just think you probably thought he could have done more.
Oh, absolutely.
And I agree with that. He could have kicked 8, to be honest, or 7 at least.
Yeah.
And I remember Wayne Carey was doing the commentary and he says, he's such a beautiful kick. He doesn't need to go around the body. And he's right, because Jack Gunston's an elite kick. I thought someone else that went missing through the whole final series was Bruce.
Oh, yes.
I thought he was very average. I don't know what you guys saw, but against Richmond he was a bit patchy, and then he was virtually disappeared against the D's. I thought Jetta held him really well.
Yeah.
Yeah, Bruce had a stinker against Richmond, but I think Neville Jetta played on him for most of that game on Friday night, and he was terrific, Jetta. He shut him out completely.
He's had 2 pretty good defenders and Grimes the week before.
Yeah.
2 very tough matchups, to be fair, but at the same time, you do expect, well, I personally, I think you guys do as well, expect better from somebody of his calibre.
Yeah. No, I talked down Sicily last week. I thought he looked a bit rusty coming back, but he was a bit better.
Yeah,
10
he
in
was.
set possessions, 4 marks down there, so not too bad.
He's still probably finding his way a bit since coming back. He was good.
It's hard getting players back in the final series, you'd think. You look at Collingwood, though, they look like they're doing well with getting their players back. But, yeah, the Hawks have struggled to bring their best 22, I suppose, back in for the finals.
I think they're missing a step of quality.
Yeah.
I think the Hawks, I think there's a big gap between their star players and then their second sort of tier. I think you've got to get games into some of the kids. I think John O'Rourke, I don't know where he'll probably get delisted.
I think, yeah, he's going to get delisted.
Yeah, he'll go because he's languishing in VFL and he's not doing much.
Yeah, he just hasn't kicked on really in that trade that they picked up. I think Miles probably should have played at least.
Miles,
in that final series. He was good. I thought McAvoy was good pretty much the whole series. Mitchell was good until he got that bump in the first quarter. I thought he was going to have a huge game, but he did pretty well to stick out the game. And I'm not a huge Tom Mitchell fan, but he got a lot of respect from me. I thought he was pretty good.
You mentioned their best players, the gap between their best and their worst. You have to remember that they did bring in quite a few inexperienced players in
the rebuild on the run
in this side.
As
like
they say.
You think of fellas like James Warple, Ryan Burton, Connor Nash. These boys are still relatively new to the game. Blake Hardwick's another one who kind of struggled on Friday night. So I was also very impressed with David Mirror, who came in for
solid.
who came in for Ben Stratton, and
Big shoes to fill down
yeah,
there.
there was big shoes to fill, and given the fact that how well Stratton has performed this year, I thought Mirror had a really solid game on Friday.
I got a question for you, Catalana. You just talked about the rebuild on the run.
Yeah.
Is that the right thing the Hawks should have done this year, or do you think a full restructure should have taken place from the off-season?
Kind of a bit more getting out the old guard.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, look, I don't see... The Hawks have obviously passed their premiership window, I would say. I don't think they looked at any point during this final series like they were going to make it all the way.
No.
You question why guys like Henderson are playing every week when you could get games into, say... I mean, obviously Morrison does play fairly often. Then guys like Harrison Jones, who's been doing well in the VFL.
He has. He's been very good.
James Cousins, I think, should be getting a few more games.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got to question why when they've got these young guys who clearly have talent, and if you're not going to be in premiership contention this year or for the next few, why not get some time?
So do you guys think, though, because obviously their poor finish last year, they got a better draw, do you reckon Clarko would have looked at that draw and said, we're going to make the 8 regardless, probably? Do you reckon, I don't think he would have expected to make the 4, really.
I think it was above most Hawks fans and probably Clarko's expectations as well.
Yeah. It's a sense of overachievement, I think.
Yeah, look, I think the 4 teams that have made the prelims have been the best 4 teams this year.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
I don't think the Hawks making top 4 really reflected their year that well.
It comes back to the draw, though. I think they should have had a bit of a restructure, personally. I would have cleared out, like you said, some of that older cattle.
Yeah.
Frawley just hasn't been the same since his All-Australian time with the D's.
Yeah, we were chatting about him off air before.
Yeah, Grant Birchall just didn't play at all, which is a huge loss for them because he's a big... part of their link-up play from half-back, but yeah.
I think the thing that... Sorry to cut you off, Doc, but just before while I have the thought, the thing that I think has changed the most for the Hawks has been their backline. Very suddenly, Gibson's gone.
Yeah.
Birchall, as you said, didn't play the whole year.
Brian Lake disappeared.
Yeah, Lake gone. Frawley's pretty much near retirement or pretty much out of form. They lack the kind of quality tall timber down there. Obviously, Sicily does well, but...
He's a third tall. He's not a key.
Yeah, who's there after him?
That's right.
You've got guys like Brand who's still finding his feet.
Yeah, there's a big gap that needs to be filled there.
Yeah, I was going to say, it'll be interesting to see how Grant Birchall gets back into the system next year because he's missed a fair amount of football.
Almost 2 years.
A fair amount of football in 2 years.
Well, that's the thing. If he does it all, he might give it away.
Yeah, he's probably played, just a handful of games?
Yeah, would have played maybe 3 or 4 in that time.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think... I reckon, would you say you're in charge of Hawthorn, do you ship off Jared Ruffhead? Because because they've done this thing now for the last 2 years where they've shipped off their older players. You know, we know Lewis and Mitchell a couple of years ago, Hodge last year. Yeah. Ruffhead's time's nearly up, I think. Well, not in a career sense, but at Hawthorn.
No, I think Jared Ruffhead, when you think of Hawthorn, is the name.
Yeah.
You think
now he is.
Oh, yeah, because he's the captain.
You think about what he's done for that club, though, prior, and they've stuck behind him with, obviously, his cancer stuff.
Yeah.
So he's just... I think the club has shown great resilience with him, and I think it'd be silly to let him go.
Yeah.
Because he still has plenty of good footy left. And there were a couple of Hawthorn fans asking for his head on the chopping block, but I think there needs to be a look, like you touched on, Doc. The back six has changed a lot. It takes a lot of time. To fix up and it's a young. You need to bleed the young team through.
Yeah,
you can't just go.
Which is unfortunately probably been the downside for the Hawks this year is that they haven't been able to bleed them through as much as they would have liked. And when you get guys like Burton having a down year as well, it doesn't really help with that whole quote unquote.
A bit average as well. But
we've talked about the Hawks a lot. Let's talk about the D's a little bit.
Yes.
One player that I want to touch on who I don't think gets enough time in the limelight is Alex Neil-Bullen.
Oh yes.
He only had 8 touches in this game.
How many tackles did he have?
Yeah, 6 tackles and 21 pressure acts, which was the third most in the game behind Brayshaw and Puopolo, who both had 22. I think Neil-Bullen's work around the ground, around the contest, just being that player who's there to, he's there to try and chase down and tackle. Yeah. He's there to try and, smother and do everything that's required of that kind of pressure forward, which I think he kind of plays that half forward midfield pressure player kind of role. Yeah. And that, considering pressure is one of the best things that Melbourne does, it really works for them, and he flourishes in that system.
Yeah.
Melbourne have generated their forward lines generated what Richmond and the Bulldogs have produced in the last 2 years, and based around small forwards. Because you think of Neil Bullen, there's also guys like Mitch Hannon, who I really rate. I rate Charlie Spargo really highly. Wiedemann's had a good month and a bit.
Oh, fantastic.
And Tom McDonald has probably been one of the most improved players this year.
Yep, 4 goals.
He's over 50 goals, and he's missed the first 4 games.
Probably would have won the Coleman, to be honest.
First 4 or 5 games.
Yeah.
So if he
missed 7 games.
So if
was
he-
it 4 or 5?
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
First third of the year.
Yeah, he missed a long
Well,
time.
well, if he gets a full season in him,
Oh,
he's
yeah.
going to be a very hard man to beat in the Coleman.
Absolutely.
He's going to be probably one of the most unlikely Coleman medal winners we've seen in ages.
From full-time defender to full-time full forward.
I'll tell you who was good and looks like he hasn't missed a beat, Jack Viney. Yeah,
Oh,
yes. He's come right back in.
Second game he's played, and he just looks seamless. There was that one time where he got a bit of a hospital handball from somebody in the back line, and it was obviously Hawthorn's forward 50, and someone went to tackle him, and he took 2 side steps to the right, and he was off.
Yeah.
He just ran off, and he just looked like he hadn't missed a beat. He looked like he'd been playing all year, and he led, touches on the ground. 27, he had 5 tackles, and he was just fantastic.
He was.
17 contested possession of his 27, so he's obviously not scared of getting it, and we know his reputation.
No, we know he's rough and under kind of player.
Yeah, 8 clearances and 7 inside 50s just shows how good he was.
He really stood out. Like, I wasn't here to talk about it, but he really stood out a couple of weeks ago against Geelong.
Oh, he was lovely.
But-
Yeah, we touched on him. He did do very well.
But he had to
so.
do that because Oliver was getting well held by
Yeah.
Liam Shields.
He was.
Jeez, I do like Clayton Oliver. He's going to be...
He'll be a smoky on Brownlow.
Do
no.
not like how he fell over like a sack of potatoes, though.
No,
It's just not a good look.
Not a fan of the diving.
no, look, like, he didn't have to do that, but Tom Mitchell opted to go bump him. So, like, what was he thinking when he went?
He didn't think he was going to go over like that. I don't think it just ruins. It's a bit like Toby Green stuff we talked about last week,
Yes.
Catalano with the foot.
Yes.
It takes away from their actual skill and ability. Like Clayton Oliver's a fantastic player, and he's had the reputation of staging and stuff for free kicks. And
Like, I wasn't a fan of the hit he got from Schofield a couple of years ago, but this one is probably not entirely his fault. He probably milked it a bit.
he got a free kick out of it, though, and
He
that's
milked
what
it a bit.
hurts.
Milked it a bit. Got a free kick out of it, but Tom Mitchell didn't have to do that.
But he didn't have to fall over either.
Yeah.
So
It's a contentious issue.
I don't like it because it just makes, as Richo said, and Richo's obviously my lover, Tiger Man. But
Oh, here we go. This is,
that's rubbish. 'Cause
this is what he's basing it on.
it
Look,
ru-
while... Oh, go
ruins,
ahead, go ahead.
ruins his image. That's all I'm saying. That's the last I want to speak about it.
While we're talking about contentious issues and we've got Toby Green on the mind, the Giants and Collingwood also played.
Yes.
The Pies won by 10 points. They snuck it home in what was probably one of the, not worst, but not a fantastic game from the Giants.
No.
Definitely seen them play better. For my money, Cornelio can hold his head up high. He had a fantastic
How many
game.
did he have?
30 disposals, 2 goals.
Fantastic.
He was everywhere when he needed to be, which he usually is every week.
Yep.
Callan Ward was probably in there getting rough as well.
Yeah, he was really good, I thought. Contested was.
He
always is.
He's a consistent player, Callan Ward.
I feel like every time we talk about the Giants, we bring up Ward, but 11 contested possessions. Once again, that's fantastic. Out of 18 disposals.
Just
That's
shows you.
fantastic.
Yeah, I reckon Cornelio will probably win their best and fairest this year, I think.
He'd have to.
Whitfield was also pretty good. I think 31 touches, 8 marks, 8 rebound 50s. He was probably the second best player after Whitfield, after Cornelio. But yeah, I reckon Collingwood should have had that game sewn up at quarter time because they absolutely. I watched this game at home. Like they absolutely dominated that opening stanza.
Yeah, they played pretty well for the whole game. And you always thought that they were going to win.
And like at quarter time, like I just thought, GWS are going to come back because there is no way they can be that horrible for like they've had some bad games, not entirely their fault. They've been crippled with injuries a lot, but with the side that they had out in the park, they should have done a lot better than what they produced in the
I
first
reckon they
quarter.
were softened up the week before. I reckon Sydney gave them the false sense of security, which I did. I don't think I said it on air, but I did think that last week. I thought they were going to be a bit patchy against a Pies team that was pretty hungry. Brandon Maynard called out Toby Green during the week.
Yes.
Oh yes,
Don't we love getting a bit of the basketball flair, I think, going on? People are calling each other out on Twitter and all that.
I'm calling you out.
We need more of this in football. I think, remember Nick Robertson calling out Gold Coast
Yes.
ahead of the Q Clash? That was probably one of the most fiery Q Clashes we've ever seen.
I think everyone forgets Tommy Bugg last year as well.
Oh, no, don't get me started on him.
But he was doing a bit of that on Instagram as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, he gave Jason Johannesson a bit of a serve pre-game.
We're coming for you.
The thing was, though, that Maynard backed it up. Toby
He
Green
did.
was goalless and had, did he have, 8 or 9 disposals?
Not a lot of impact.
Yeah,
Not
he
a lot.
had 9 disposals. Had a
9
had a stinker.
disposals. And after last week, he kicked 3 goals, 3 and had 27 or whatever. Really, I think Brandon Maynard is an extremely underrated defender for one, especially with what's happened with their key stocks at the moment, Tommy Langdon having to play full back.
Yeah.
It really has, Maynard has to step up and take sort of probably the best small.
Yeah.
And I thought he was really good on Green and kept him very quiet.
If you've ever talked to a Pies supporter, Braden Maynard's the future of their club.
Yeah.
They rate him
They
about...
rate him very high.
They reckon he's a Brownlow winner
They
already. When was the last time a small defender won the Brownlow? Probably never.
Probably never will either.
I want to highlight Jordan DeGoey's game because he was
Oh,
absolutely sensational. I think played most of the game as a forward, but had 8 marks, kicked 3-2. Should have really had maybe 5 or 6 because he was their most dangerous forward.
yeah.
And I think somebody highlighted it in the middle of the week that GWS don't have the players to run with Jordan DeGoey because he's quick off the mark. He's too quick off the mark for small defenders for tall defenders, but he can outmark the small.
Who was on him?
I think
Nick Haynes was for a bit.
Haynes played on him.
If I was Leon Cameron, I would have put Kennedy on him.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. But DeGoey would have outmarked Kennedy.
Yeah.
I
But
think
Kennedy's got that athleticism, though.
Bunteen played on him a bit as well.
They wanted Bunteen on him, but then
He was too quick for him.
I think he must have been moving out of position, doing some weird leading patterns and all that.
he
Getting away
leads
from
really
his
well to the
defenders.
ball.
Yeah, he
Jordan
does.
Dowie.
Oh,
And he looks very confident when he's going for it.
His
I think
hands. His hands
that's the
are
thing as well, though.
immaculate.
You got to kick it to somebody that looks like they want it.
Yeah.
And that's
And DeGoey always looks like
he looks
wants
like
it.
he's very hungry, and I think the thing about him, he's a lot like Dusty when he goes forward. He looks. You can't put a key defender because he's too slow,
Yeah.
and you want to try and outmark him, but then you can't put a small on him because again, he's got such great
Let's
upper body
push him
strength.
out of the way.
So I think that's why people try to compare him to Dusty a bit. Obviously, I still think he strides away from him,
Yeah.
but that's where I think the similarities come. But I think, De Goey was, as you said, Doc, was sensational.
His potential is enormous. I reckon
If he keeps his
if
mind on the game
keeps his mind on the game,
and off the beverages, I think he's got, like you said, a very bright future.
yeah, I reckon the potential could be between a top 5, top 10 player
Easy.
within a few years.
Yep.
That's my belief on Jordan DeGoey
No,
right
it's
there.
a fantastic call.
Yeah, I think... Was there a headline? Someone said that in the paper, I reckon, in the Herald Sun.
Did they?
Possibly. It sounds familiar. Doc, are you lifting headlines, mate?
Eh?
Are you lifting headlines?
No.
Come up with your own, mate.
No, I said that on Saturday night. Like, no, you know what? I'll put this on air.
Oh, here we go.
John, who is one of our teachers,
Big Johnny Clark.
he said something about Jordan DeGoey and about at the start of the year, and he retweeted his own tweet and said good
yes.
call, and then I retweeted that and I said I'll do you one better.
There you
I think
go.
he'll become a top 5 player in a few years.
So not from the mouths of the Herald Sun, from the mouths of the
Oh,
SEN.
God.
So
Of the SEN producer's room.
So anyone from the Herald Sun wants to sue me, come at me.
Anything else from that game that you guys thought was
I just wanted to say Mason Cox had he copped a bit of flack after
big
the
telescopic?
first final.
Yeah.
Didn't have a fantastic impact, didn't kick anything, but
He was much better.
he was better. He was clunking marks, which was probably what they
The
needed
amount
him
of
to
times
do.
he should get a free kick.
I will also just before we move on.
Yes.
Yes.
Has Jeremy Cameron actually had a good final? Because any time I've watched a GWS final, he has either disappeared or he's been rotten.
I feel like he had a huge one when they first had their campaign, but I agree. He's been, I don't know, since that Harris Andrews thing, I feel like his confidence is a bit patchy.
Yeah.
It's gone to his head a little bit.
And I can't say that the boo's helping in the crowd. It's a bit like the Joe Watson rubbish.
Yeah.
It probably just would weigh on his mind a
When
bit.
they made Job cry.
Yeah.
My poor boy.
I don't think Jeremy Cameron would
My
cry.
poor
He'd probably
boy.
jump in the crowd.
Je-
try
Je-
and
oh,
push someone in the head.
Jeremy Cameron probably has a pretty tough interior. Like he could probably emotionally take care of that.
Yeah,
But it will weigh up on him.
of course it will. And I think
Missing that many weeks as well has got to have an impact
Oh,
on the game.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Fitness and stuff and
Yeah.
all that rubbish. But yeah, I thought all in all, Collingwood probably deserved to win. And I thought the Giants, just like you said, both of you, or we all said, they're just not good enough.
Absolutely.
I think they still need another harden up midfielder because it's all good having Cal Ward and Caniglia sort of patchy, but Dylan Shield.
I was going to say, especially if Shield leaves, which leads us nicely
He
into
won't
some
be
of the
there.
trade rumours.
Oh, yes.
Well, I'll just run through them all quickly. If any of them interest you boys, just
Yep.
feel free to pick one out. So we got Nick Newman rumoured to go to Gold Coast or North.
Who's
Aaron
Newman?
Hall, who is he?
I like him.
Aaron Hall also rumoured to go to North. Chad Wingard's been linked to the Dogs and the Hawks.
Yeah.
I might talk about the Chad Wingard one.
Dylan Shield, apparently, we are looking at him now. The Bombers are having a look in. Reece Conker to Freo, he's a WA boy. Stephen May, Collingwood has made an offer apparently.
They're running hard on Stephen May Collingwood.
They are. And Rory Lobb apparently going back to the West. We don't know whether West Coast or Freo yet, but that's the rumours. Any of those stand out, Doc?
I think firstly, Rory Lobb is most likely going to Freo because I have read stuff about Fremantle being in contact with him, and they probably need another tall forward to help out McCarthy. That's probably the most logical.
Matty Taberner
I was
down.
going to say, once they get Taberner back next year.
He was pretty good when he played.
But
Yeah.
does Taberner second ruck?
No.
Nah.
No.
I think they'd rather have Darcy.
Play
and
Darcy
Sandilands.
full-time
Yeah.
next year.
Oh, but Darcy will need to chop out.
I don't know.
Lob might be able
should.
to do that.
I think he's got a bit of a tank.
Yeah.
Lob.
Cam McCarthy could ruck for the short time that Darcy has a break, though. I like Cam McCarthy.
I'd rather have
I'd-
Taberner down there leading than
Yeah,
McCarthy
yeah.
at all times.
100%.
Yeah. You know, I forget about Taberner a lot.
Because he's been injured half the year.
No, he looks good now.
He's
He's
not
hitting his stride. Big men always, as we've said, take time to develop.
They do.
I think the Chad Wingard one's very interesting because he's still in contract and his last 2 years at Port haven't been the best.
Every
He-
time,
he disappears more often than not. Chad Wingard. I'm
and
not going to
also Wingard has often expressed that he doesn't want to be anywhere else but Port Adelaide. So I'd be
He's
very
not going.
surprised.
I don't
Yeah,
think he's
like-
going anywhere.
I don't. It's so strange because I'm part of all these Bulldogs forum pages and they're all often about because Chad Wingard's liking Bulldogs posts on Instagram and stuff like that, but unless he's formally requesting a trade, I'm not buying any of it.
Yeah,
Well, it's
yeah.
like the Mitch Wallace thing yesterday. About
Yes, and he
Brisbane.
re-signed.
It's re-signed
Oh yes.
Yes.
25 minutes later. So it just shows you, rumours are rumours, but as you said, Doc, he's under contract, and Kat, you said he's happy with Port, so I couldn't see him going anywhere anytime soon.
Yeah.
The one thing that might drive Chad Wingard away is the money because he's demanding big money, and Port aren't prepared to give it to him just yet.
The one that I'd like to talk about
I think he is out of contract at the end of this next year.
next
I just
year.
want to say Dylan Shield Essendon is very exciting, and I would love
I was
that
about
to
to
happen.
ask you about that, actually.
Yes.
So what do you give up, though, to get him? 'Cause he's still got one more year, and he's...
Yeah, look, I'd hope we can keep a first-round pick.
But would you be willing to part ways with that if it...
What is Essendon's first round pick at the moment? That is
We have our first-round pick, I believe, so that's pick 10.
10-ish?
You'll need more than that.
Dodora's, he's a shifty character. He's a
Oh,
shady man. He
he-
knows how to get his deals done. Every time he gets one done, pops another jacket on, pops the
Yep.
collar up.
I'll tell you
He
what.
loves it.
I don't like how he does his offers, but he is.
I love it.
He
I
is
love
a
it.
very
Yeah.
smart man.
I love it.
Dodora, he knows what he wants and he gets
Exactly,
it. And
he
I love
gets
that
it.
we play so aggressive every time.
And he
we,
doesn't settle for anything less.
No,
Like he's
no.
set in his ways, and if he doesn't get it, he just pulls out of the trade. He's not going to say, well, we'll take a second-round pick. He
I
goes,
reckon
I want this.
He did that with Stuart Crammer a number of years ago when the Bulldogs traded for him. Like he wanted a first round pick for him. We were only going to offer up a second round pick.
Mate,
so
a first-round pick for Stewie. Look, I loved Stewie.
that's the kind of stuff that
There's now
I loved
delisted.
Stewie when he was at us. I think on that form that he had when he was at us, maybe a first round, but not what he showed for the rest of his
No.
career. But anyway, Shield, I would love him. I'd
Yeah.
love him.
I think he'd be a
No.
good fit as well. For
yeah
Essendon.
he would complement that midfield grip really nicely.
Suddenly, we've found that we have actually got good inside midfielders. I think Myers has, despite him giving away almost the most free kicks in the entire
Has he?
league. Yeah, he's like ranked second for free
Oh,
kicks
I didn't know
against.
that. There you go.
And look, Merritt's come a long way this year. I think we sometimes play Devon Smith in there.
Dyson Apple had a really good year, like
Heppel
I said
did as
previously.
well. So now they get that kind of outside midfielder, and I think being able to play Shield as an exclusively outside midfielder will really play to his strengths. And he'll have a Bryce Gibbs-like season.
Yeah, he's a really classy player, Dylan Shield. If he plays like he does hurt himself a bit with his shoulders.
Honestly, I was talking to my mother, my lovely mother,
yes.
is a Carlton supporter, and she's been all up and about the
woman.
idea of Shield and McGovern coming over there. She did ask me about Shield and his injuries, and I actually looked into it. And the past 3 years, he's played every game.
There you go.
So I don't think there's any more issues for Shield at all.
He always seems to have problems with his shoulders though during games though.
Yeah, but look, it's just strapping, I guess.
Yeah.
He hasn't, like I said,
doesn't
missed
miss
a game
games,
in the
so
past 3 years.
that's
So
true.
I think he's right in that regard.
I think
If it works, keep him, keep going.
Yeah, mate.
with the trade stuff here, the one that really, or the two that interest me, one obviously Reece Conker, the Richmond boy, and the thing about that is he's a free agent. And I'm
Yes.
pretty sure he's restricted. So whatever offer Freo or
You
West
can
Coast throw at him, but it's Freo predominantly after him, especially with the Lockie Neal, I think won't be there. But we talked about that already.
Yes,
Yeah.
insider information apparently.
Yes.
No, I reckon if you
From
were
anonymous-
Lockie Neal and you had to choose between Fremantle and Brisbane,
I'd go to Brisbane.
yeah, you'd be going Brisbane. Cause
Anyway, we're not talking about Lockie Neal. I think Conker will go. I don't think Richmond will match it just because if they wanted to, they would have re-signed him already. The thing is, though, he has played 19 games, and the only ones he misses with the ankle injury. So
Can't believe it
I
was
think
only
Dimmer's a
3
really
games.
big fan. I don't mind him. He does a lot of interesting run with roles. He was good on Mitchell in the first quarter, and then they put Graham in for the second, and then they had no one on him for the rest of the game. So don't ask me why, and he ended up having 38. But the one there that interests me is Aaron Hall. Now, I think, Catalano, we spoke about this before, is that
Yes.
Aaron Hall sort of not a fan of Stewie Jews.
Out of favour.
Out of favour, which you think Aaron Hall gets a lot of the football, Doc, doesn't he?
Yeah, I think he does have the habit of finding the ball, but I think it's some of the stuff he does.
Quality-wise.
Yeah, he doesn't use it well, and he does have his attitude problem. I think he's got a bit of attitude problem as well.
I think so, but I suppose the thing with what Stewie is trying to structure up at Gold Coast, you want people that are going to be foundation players. So I think the stuff with Stephen May requesting a trade, even though it's terrible they're losing him, such a good player, that's what they need. They need a direction, the Suns.
Yeah, look, and then I think the captaincy's probably going to go over to David Swallow at that point.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
he's like a Gold Coast boy through and through.
Yeah.
He's been there since the start.
I heard Terry Wallace speak on SEN the other day. They said what Gold Coast need is a foundation. So even if you had Stephen May, staying for this year, but he's still in limbo and might go to Collingwood, that's not what you want as your captain saying throughout the year. It's a bit like the Lynch stuff. If Lynch came out end of the year and said I'm going, that'd be sort of okay because he was injured and missed a lot of games. But if he comes out start of the year, you can't expect to be played. So I think it's good that Stephen May's sort of said where he wants to go, and Aaron Hall probably won't be there. So I think those two will be very interesting.
I think if Stephen May does decide to go to Collingwood at the end of this season, then I think they're gonna have a good amount of draft picks to come in for the draft because they'll have the second pick.
Probably get a compensation
they'll get
for Lynch.
They'll get the third pick for losing Lynch, and they'll get another first round pick somewhere in there for May.
Probably 18, 19, something like that.
Yeah.
A late first round, yeah.
Something like that, and maybe even another young player. I'm not no trade expert, but they'll get some good returns for the old co-captains.
Yeah, I think they'll. Well, I don't know if they'll get their value for what they're losing, but I think they'll get something, and I think that's the most important thing for.
Yeah, they'll get something good.
They'll get something good from May.
We spent enough time on rumours. Apologies for that. Brownlow night is coming up this Monday.
Yes.
Obviously, the media favourite is still Tommy Mitchell. Everyone's looking at the big ruckman, though. Maxi Gawn and Brodie Grundy. Who are your favourites? Who are your favourites, Miller?
I think it sounds crazy, but I reckon Maxi Gawn will win it.
Yeah.
Yep. I just got a feeling that Gill will have enough of this midfielder nonsense, and he want to go against the mould. And no, I think Gawn's been good enough all year, consistent enough, and been the best ruckman. I think, even though I'm a huge Brodie Grundy fan. So I think obviously Mitchell's obviously in contention. Grundy, I think Clayton Oliver. If But the thing is, we've talked about with Melbourne is that
Yeah.
there's too many
Stealing
players that are
votes.
stealing
No,
votes.
he might. He's not going to win it.
So I think Maxi Gorn for me will probably win it.
There you go. Definitive from Doc. Clayton Oliver is not winning it.
Yeah.
Do you want to put something on the line for that, or do we need to make a bet of some sort?
We'll exchange something.
I raise you 10,000 pesos.
Probably a beer.
A singular beer.
One beverage.
I reckon we should just do a live Brownlow.
Mate, who's your favourites?
Shut
Who's
up.
your favourites?
well, if Max Gorn does win, he'll be the first ruckman to win the Brownlow since '92 when Scotty Wine took it out, and then Jim Steins won it the year before.
Stranger things happen.
So it's not out of the question. I'd like to see him win it. I don't think he will.
I do.
Well, who do you think will?
I think Tom Mitchell's too easy.
Yeah.
I reckon Tom Mitchell's probably the safe bet.
Jack McRae.
Oh, I want to go Jack McRae. I reckon
He's trying so hard not to say Jack McRae.
I want to say Jack McRae, but that hamstring injury killed him.
And your team's arse.
Oh.
Shut up.
Hey, shut up.
Shut up.
I'd rather have Paddy
Shut your
Cripps
mouth.
win it over McRae.
I want to say. I said last week Paddy Cripps. I think I said a couple of weeks ago Paddy Cripps won't win it, but
Yeah, you did.
I did.
So now you're going to say he's going to win it.
No, I'll say Tom Mitchell.
He's
Mitchell.
going with pitch.
What about you, Kat?
I think there's going to be
Devon Smith.
no.
No.
Unfortunately not. Look, I think
Perhaps
someone's
next
going to get like 20 votes in the first half of the year and is going to ride it home.
Ooh.
I have a feeling that Cornelio or Sidebottom can possibly rack up just a bunch of votes early on
I like it.
and riding him home. I don't think any one player's been too dominant this year.
No,
I think-
it's probably the most open field we've
Yeah.
had in years.
I've been saying since the start of the year, I think it's going to be a 2015, going to be a Matty Prittis kind of year.
Yeah.
Someone's going to come out of nowhere and they're just going to steal it. I
Aaron
don't think
Hall.
it's going to be any of the favourites.
Alex Sexton.
Yes.
We
yes.
love you, Alex.
That's the best result for
Please
Brownlow
come on the
night.
show soon.
I tell you what, if Dustin Martin wins, I'm gonna have an aneurysm.
But if I'm going to go with one of the favourites, I would like to see Cripps win it, and I think he possibly could.
Yeah.
Obviously, the only thing hampering him is his team.
Yeah.
Yeah.
2
But
wins.
look, you look at Judd when he won it at Carlton.
Gary
You look
and
at
stuff
Gaz.
like that, yeah.
But like we also
No,
said
I'm not
this-
saying he can't win it. I, as much as I dislike Carlton as well, I'd really like Paddy to win it because I think he's shown this year that he's taken another step, and it's a big step because, as I discussed with Paddy, he's kept his team like in a lot of games, even though
Yeah.
they've lost. Without him,
Yeah, like, as I would.
be
Like,
100-point margins.
I'm not trying to say I don't like Patrick Cripps, but I
We love him.
I would love to see
We
him
love
win
you,
it.
Paddy.
I would love to see him win it, but he just doesn't.
he won't.
He just doesn't have like the results will show that he won't win it, and he's not a Gary Ablett. He's not one
He might be.
that actually.
She's got hair.
Hey, Gaz used to have hair.
Gaza.
Easy on.
Gaz used to have hair.
Easy on.
It was a good head of hair.
What
for a
about
shag.
Mark of the Year and Goal of the
Yeah,
Year?
I was
Kat?
about to say,
You've got the nominations there. Could you
yeah,
feed
we've
them
got-
to me because I'm not too up to date with.
We've got other awards. Yep, these two. Mark of the
nice.
Year. We had Charlie Cameron from early on in the year, Michael Walters,
Now,
and Isaac Heaney.
I'm just
are our
going
three
to try
nominees.
and remember so people can sort of help me out. Charlie Cameron's one was against
Hawthorn, yeah.
Yes.
Yep. Michael Walters was that one-on-one against. Who was he? Who did he take it on? Was it? It's like on the forward 50, isn't it?
McGovern.
Yeah.
It was the derby.
That's
'Cause
right.
McGovern,
He's on the-
McGovern had a laugh and shook his hand afterwards and
He's
said,
Yeah,
"Good job,
that was
mate."
the one.
I think it comes from the side, isn't it? And he takes it.
Yeah.
Yep. That one, and then
And he hung
obviously-
in the air for about half an hour.
He couldn't believe it.
And the
McGovern.
Isaac Heaney one was
Was-
on Jesse Hogan.
Yes.
When
It's
Heaney
a
was playing
beautiful
fullback.
grab.
So, what do you-
Aaron Francis robbed of the nomination.
Oh, absolutely.
He's still up there.
Racist
They're going to have to get him
against
down
gingers.
before the Sandford Grand Final.
Absolutely. Like that. How does that not get in?
racist against gingers.
I
It really is.
kind of narrows the field because I reckon Heaney's is head and shoulders
I
above
think
everyone
Heaney's gonna
else.
win it.
I was going to ask you both who won it.
I think Heaney's got it wrapped up, to be honest.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I like Isaac Heaney as well, but I think Charlie Cameron's one was pretty tasty.
It was, but I don't know. He kind of, I think he took it over Mays, and he knocked Mays out. It was
Who
a bit of
cares?
friendly fire. Who cares?
Only a teammate.
Oh.
Get someone else in next week.
Also, though, I think it'll have a good chance because that mark is in what is it?
The little legend.
Yeah,
of
the
thing.
NAB Mini Legends. It's in there.
Cameron.
I think the AFL loves it.
And then the cheeky little wink. How you doing?
But there's also goal of the year, so we're sticking with two Heenies and a. What did you say? Did you say Walters or Cameron?
I said Cameron.
You said Cameron. Two Heenies and a Cameron.
Very tasty.
Goal of the year, Luke Parker in round 1, the bicycle kick over his head.
Oh.
Charlie Cameron was also a fantastic goal.
I think that was when he had the ball in the wing and then he ran it up.
Yeah, he ran around about 3 or 4 blokes, and still managed to snap like an impossible kick around his
I want to
body.
hear how you boys describe the last one.
And Jackie Higgins
ran
around the post, just gave the ball a little bit of a how are ya?
Little flick.
Little flick, and then he snapped it right from in front of the goals.
A little bit of how.
Look, I don't think it was a throw. It was, it was
no,
just a
it's
little. How are you?
I'm
As long
not-
as it hits his boot, that's a disposal.
Yeah.
So it's fair enough.
Well, I can't take it away from now. It's been a goal for a couple of weeks. Who wins it then?
I don't want Parker to win it.
Wow.
I think Higgins might, just because everyone loves it.
No, no.
It's voting based. Everyone's going to vote Higgins.
Yeah. Oh,
The only people that aren't going to vote for Higgins are
Collingwood
Collingwood
fans,
supporters,
and then
Brisbane
those-
supporters, and Sydney
And
supporters.
then those crazy people. I have to throw.
there's 100,000 Richmond members, and they'll all
exactly.
vote. They'll all vote for Jack Higgins.
Oh no, I like
Exactly.
Luke Parker's goal a lot.
I like Luke
But
Parker's
would
goal
you
too.
vote for Parker or Higgins?
I'll have 2 votes.
No, I reckon
I
Throw
raised
you
down.
that card.
like,
2 votes for
Parker's
me.
Parker's goal was great, but Higgins was something different. It was.
Mm.
You know, how many players have you seen go around the goalpost?
I'm going to set up 2 accounts now and have 2 votes.
Go around the goalpost and then flick it up and then come back and
and then
kick-
throw it up and kick a goal.
In
Kick
a
a
remarkable result, Jack Higgins has won by 1 vote.
The man also voted for Luke Parker. Results reveal.
Go.
No, I reckon, I'll probably go Jack Higgins. But I suppose the only thing is that the AFL get a lot of backlash from that. But at the same time, I think...
Oh, there have been a lot of contentious decisions.
Mate, last year Jeremy Howe he was shocked.
That was a rob because all the Essendon people didn't play finals.
Mate, Danaher's was
You know what?
fantastic.
And they had to cheer about something, so we'll just go on.
I still haven't gotten over how Matt White won Goal of the Year about 4 years ago.
'Cause that was an absolute snag.
That wasn't. It was a good snag, but the Bonce was better.
Oh, there we
of
go.
course it was, yeah.
The Bond.
The Bond.
Oh, come on! You shrug about 3 blokes and you tighten the pocket and you snap the game-winning goal.
The man he's in love
What
with.
what more do you want?
I want Matty White's goal more. That's what I want.
I don't want Matty White's goal. Any bloke who can run can do that.
Well, I'll see you have a go at Matty White's goal.
Yeah, I'll do it.
Well, look, we're gearing up for the Brownlow boys, but
Challenge.
and the goal and mark of the year. Clearly, we're all a bit fired up about this one. But we'll go to tips for this week. We'll wrap it
Oh,
up.
yeah, boy.
So, Friday night, a massive game.
Oh yes.
Richmond and the Pies at the MCG. Miller is attending this one.
Yes, I am.
It's going to be massive atmosphere.
I'll be chucking some stuff up on the podcast, on the Instagram page.
Yes,
so don't
you
worry
better.
about that, so
You
people
better.
can stay informed. Look, there's been one team, as I've said each week all year, that have been, I think, one step ahead of everyone. And
the
I
Mighty
think,
Tigers.
Yeah, here we go.
The only thing I'm worried about is the week off because that's one game in almost
Yeah.
3-4 weeks. So I think, I think Rancy would have rested up and Grimes and all that stuff. So I think the Tigers will have their foot back on the throat, on the accelerator, and I think they'll get it done by about 3 goals,
3 goals.
18, 19 points. But I think it'll be a very good game. And Pies, like I said, are my second favourite team. But I think my Tigers just.
Yeah, no, I've got no doubt that the Tigers are going to win. I think they've been that step above. They played Collingwood, what was it, about round 18, round 17, and you looked like, up till about half-time, three-quarter time that game, it was very, very close.
That's
but,
what happens with most teams. So we sort of.
yeah,
It's that third, fourth quarter that
is
Richmond.
when you put the foot down.
Yeah, and I don't know. Maybe Dimmer tells them to do that. Not to rest for those quarters, but to stay competitive, but also keep your energy built up. But
Yeah, keep something in store.
it's been a common theme. I think
Yeah.
Richmond have been just that second half, even against Hawthorn. Like Hawthorn were in that game 13, 14 points at half time, but then it just looked like a different game.
Yeah, I'm going to go about, say, 4 goals.
Yep.
Anywhere between about 22 and 25 points,
I like
reckon.
Just a friendly reminder for MCC members such as Miller and myself: if you are going to go to the game,
Get there early.
get there early, and I'm going to say super early. You know, even camp outside gate 2
God.
tonight if you have to.
I think people are already there.
Yeah,
Oh, no.
somebody's already done that.
Yeah, I
they
saw that.
they camped there last night.
Jesus.
Yeah, you will.
Yeah, he was.
Well, this will be the third time these two sides have played this year, and in those last 2 games, Collingwood have been with Richmond for pretty much the first 3 quarters, and then Richmond have pulled away. Like they're the best 4-quarter team
Classic Richmond.
in the AFL.
Just too good for everyone.
I do want to.
Ooh. He just snuck that one in
I'm
quietly
having a
so we
laugh.
couldn't hear
You
it.
know I'm taking the Mickey.
That is subtle drive-by action if I've ever seen it.
Pew pew.
Up the top.
I want to say Collingwood, but I think Richmond will be too strong.
Yeah.
The one thing that stands out for me is if Collingwood have a first quarter like that again, where they control the ball and don't make
It's
the most
game
of
on. Absolutely.
it, Richmond will end up killing them. Like in the end result,
Yeah.
because you've got to take your opportunities, and it was lucky it was only the Giants.
Yeah.
That what?
Only the Giants.
Wow.
Gee whiz.
Calling out
Oh,
the
they
whole
really
team.
no, they weren't going to win.
Now, quickly, Caroline, before we go to the next game, the last thing I
Yes.
wanted to mention is that Richmond and Collingwood, last time they played a preliminary, is that a preliminary final? What's that?
Preliminary,
Yep.
I'm like Mason Cox. I don't understand the stupid
Big American.
I
is
don't know
that
this game.
1973 was the last time these two times. So there's obviously Richmond and Collingwood have a bit of history, but it's been a long time coming.
Yes. Yeah, their main history was back in the 70s.
Yep.
They did have a few grand finals against each
Yeah.
other, though. Obviously, famously, the last time Richmond won before last year, 1980, was Richmond
Yeah.
Collingwood grand
last
final.
grand final.
And they smashed Collingwood.
Everyone was hoping for that this year, but unfortunately, the Pies couldn't get the job done
No.
Nah.
against
Oh,
West Coast.
What a shame. We'll just have to beat them this week.
I just want to say just quickly,
Yes.
I reckon the biggest matchup in this game would be Dylan Grimes versus Jordan Ngoe.
Ooh.
It's going to be that could be the one matchup that decides this game.
I don't know if he'll go with him, though. I think Vloster might go with Degoe.
You reckon?
Goes a bit
I reckon they
more-
might take Grimes to Hoskin Elliott.
Ooh, I don't know. I don't rate Hoskin Elliott's.
Hoskin Elliott has been less of a threat than
He's a
Ngoe.
bit
Yeah.
off since he did his knee that game.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I think, obviously, I'd rather Grimes, but I don't know what kind of matchup they'll go with.
I think Grimes finds a way to just. I think he's going to figure out. Obviously, I think what I think is going to happen. Degoe's going to have a fantastic first quarter, maybe kick a couple. Grimes is going to find. He's going to figure him out. Going to get in
Get
front
his
of him at
lead
every
patterns
point.
and
Yeah,
stuff, yeah.
because that's just what Grimes does.
Apparently
he's
he does his-
destroyed us both times you played us.
He does his research, though, Grimes. He apparently, I heard something on Richmond TV, or Tiger TV, sorry, that Jack Rawat says that every Monday, even like pre-coaches conference and stuff, Grimes is already reading every forward's like lead
Yeah.
patterns where they track back and all that
Sizing
stuff.
up his opponent.
Yeah, so he obviously does his research. So it'll be a good game.
Yeah, I reckon so.
Melbourne West Coast Saturday afternoon. I'm behind the D's. I'm riding this bandwagon all the way home.
Bandwagon.
I think it's going to be a close one.
Stopping all stations.
Stopping all stations.
Close one, margin.
We'll go about a goal.
Wow.
It's going to be to the wire. I would love it if we had a repeat of that game last year when Oscar's not sitting at full forward.
Oscar hasn't kicked a goal yet.
Tommy at full forward kicked that goal right at the end of the match.
That was a cracking.
I'd love to
game.
see a repeat of that.
I think it'll be a contest and a half. Doc, who are you going with?
Well, the last two times Melbourne have played West Coast over there, Melbourne have won, and that is going to be like I actually want to go Melbourne, but I think this is going to be the game that the Eagles pull out the win.
This is the big one.
This is the one. Next to Richmond, West Coast have been the best side all year. I think they've had a couple of bumps along the way, and that's not entirely their fault. Injuries have had their say, but predominantly they've been very, very good. And over there at Optus Stadium, they're nearly unbeatable. Like Melbourne, and there might be another team in there as well that have actually managed to do it over there.
I think everyone forgets that for half of the year, the only team that had beaten West Coast was Sydney.
Yeah,
The Bombers beat them over there, though.
Yes, we
the,
did.
yeah. The Bombers beat them over there.
Once they lost Kennedy and Darling.
Still, though, should be beating Essendon.
But I think West
At
Coast.
home.
Harsh.
No disrespect. Well, mind you, you guys were on that huge
We
run
match
as
up well against West Coast.
Especially when they got
West
no
Coast and
forwards.
Port and Geelong, actually. We got the Mickey
And
over them.
everyone.
We got the wood on them. And the Giants a little bit too. Anyway.
I think it'll be an extraordinary close game. I think West Coast will win by less than 10. I don't think I gave a margin for the other one. I said I think Richmond will win by probably about 3-4 goals as well.
I think Angus Brayshaw's going to have the game of his life. I reckon he's
yeah, he
going
was
to
quiet
play
last week.
massive.
I reckon Elliot Yeo will crack James Harms this week.
Ooh.
The-
Will they be on each other, you reckon?
yeah, they will absolutely.
The battle of the tags.
Yo's
Yuck.
been more of an offensive player than a tagger.
He killed Collingwood.
He
So good.
he destroyed him on
Murdered
contested
him.
possession.
Yeah.
I reckon that'll be the big matchup there. If Harms can cut Yo out of the game, then they are an absolute.
Yeah.
Then they were a huge chance.
It'll be tough for West Coast. I think
The gears are turning.
just because I thought Collingwood played really well against West Coast the week before, 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Shows that team is beatable at home, and they probably should have won Collingwood. I think West Coast, their forward-line structure is sort of back now with Darling and Kennedy. So I think they're a bit more sort of formation and stuff. I think Mark Lacroix actually needs to do something, which would be nice.
Well, he's had a solid year, Mark Lacroix.
He's done nothing in the final.
I agree. He needs to stand up this week.
Interesting to see who'll get Willie Rioli. Might be Jeddah.
Oh, yeah.
That'll be a good match.
But it will be... I think Dom Sheed really needs to lift. I think it requires a big game, especially against the talented Melbourne midfield. And especially if Elliot Yeo, like you said, Doc gets tagged. They're going to have someone else to do something for West Coast. Luke Shuey is interesting as well because he got tagged against Collingwood and was pretty well held. But I think I want Melbourne to win, and I'm all behind the hype and, hopefully maybe a Collingwood Melbourne or a Richmond Melbourne grand final would be sensational. But I think West Coast, just because it's at Perth and they've got a bit of a run on.
And they're fresh, they're ready to go.
Well, so are we, but I'm not still confident about that. So it's just going to be very interesting. But as last year's grand final proved, it's whoever rocks up on the day.
It's true.
Doesn't matter who
Everyone would
finished
have
first.
thought, Adelaide was the best team all year, but not on grand final day.
Kane Lambert said running down the race, what are they worth now? So just going to be close contest, I think. As much as I want Melbourne to win, like I said, I think West Coast by 5 points.
All right. Well, that's all the tips in. Thank you for joining us this week on the A3 podcast. Stay tuned for a massive grand final week.
Woo!
Next week, it's going to be huge. We're looking forward to it. Whoever plays who, I think there's going to be a buzz in the air in Melbourne.
There's going to be
massive.
Because you're guaranteed to have one of Richmond,
One
Collingwood and
Melbourne
Melbourne in there, and the buzz is going to be up and about.
Yeah.
I'd love to be
It's
in
going
the
to be
city.
huge.
Oh, it's going to be massive. It's going to be absolutely massive.
So thank you for joining us and stay tuned for next week. My name has been Alex Catalano.
Don't forget, actually, Carolina.
He's cutting me off.
Oh, boy.
He's interrupted the outro.
Don't forget to follow the Instagram page.
Yes.
Got to do
Get
some
on the
self-promotion.
socials.
Yeah,
Follow
just-
us on Facebook, the A3 Footy Podcast, Instagram at A3 Footy Podcast. Get on there. We're on the YouTube now, obviously.
We are on the YouTube now. We're having some technical issues, but all the other previous episodes, if you guys haven't heard them,
Will be up
from Spotify. So don't stress about them.
Yes. I'll tell you what, this better be up, or I'll spew up, as Terry Wallace says.
You can do the outro now.
Anyway, let's get
go.
back on that. I've been Alex Catalano.
I've been Alex Miller.
And I've been Alex Doherty for the first time since 2 weeks.
Thank you for listening. Join us back here next week.